Welcome to the MLM Success Coaches Expert Interview Series, your ultimate resource for network marketing, blogging, and social media tips. If you have a question, we got an answer. And now, your host, Ian Beatty.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of MLM Success Coaches, episode number 2. I am your host, Ian Beatty, and today I have on the show with me Mr. Tim Buist. Now, Tim is what you would call a sales superstar. He pretty much reached the highest level that you could get in the pharmaceutical sales, and you can find Tim over at attractionmarketinginsider.com. He's a college grad. So, Tim, why don't you tell us about how you got involved in network marketing?
Sure. Well, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. I had my first taste actually about almost 6 years ago now. And I was, like you said, I was working in the pharmaceutical industry, and one of my doctors actually approached me with an opportunity, and thought we had some type of an angle on it where we could promote it to doctors, and it did work for a while, and some people had some success, but it was really kind of taking a network marketing model and sort of trying to make our own thing with it. And I had really no idea about the principles of attraction marketing, and I wasn't even working it like a network marketing business. So long story short, about 6 months into it, the money ran out. I stopped, I burned through my market of doctors and was no longer bringing in reps, and the income just dried up. So had to go. I actually had committed to that full time and left my pharmaceutical gig, and then so when the income dried up, I had to go back and get a job, and it was just kind of an ugly time for me. So I ended up, we were in Florida at the time, and we ended up coming back to Michigan to start a family, and did well in the job market, and got back into a clinical research area as well. It was a great job. But early 2009, when the economy tanked, the pinch was put on that company. My territory was eliminated. And after reaching the highest earning sales job of my career, I found myself literally standing out in a cold parking lot holding a box of my stuff waiting for a cab.
Right.
So, I kind of just decided at that point that the job world wasn't working out for me. And I wish actually that I had jumped back into network marketing at that point, because that was right at the time in 2009 where a lot of the current superstars that you read about now were just kicking it off with things like Magnetic Sponsoring and Mike Dillard, and then My Lead System Pro comes along. However, I actually went into an independent sales role in the telecom field, and then found my way back into medical device, still as an independent agent, working for myself. But it's still, and if you read Robert Kiyosaki's stuff, you'll find out that it might be tempting to think that when you go in independent sales that you're actually a business owner and you're building a business, but really all you're doing is trading a job for a self-employment position, which is just like a job except none of the benefits. You still have no leverage built into it, and you're still one man out there in the territory, and there's just an economic formula behind how much income you can generate in the field in sales. And so I quickly realized that that I needed to get something else going, and I was searching around on the internet. I had dabbled with things on the internet in the past and had a blog once, but I had no clue how to monetize it. It was just like a fun little project, and so I dipped into it again, and I did this thing called, this was like in April of 2010, or no, April of 2011, I'm sorry. I mean, that's really when I jumped in to this stuff. But the first thing I did was I found this thing called launch jacking. It was where you put up a website and you capitalize on the launch of some internet marketing product and try to just grab some of that traffic. And It was kind of like a nice little boot camp on setting up a blog and what plugins to put in place and all that stuff. But then I started stumbling around these network marketers that were online using the internet to build their businesses, and some light bulbs just started going off right away, because I always had this attraction to the industry, but I just there was no way I was going to start, at least at this time, there was no way in my mind that I was going to start building something with my friends and family and do cold calling and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
So when I started running into these guys online, Mike Dillard's stuff, David Wood, My Lead System Pro, I just sort of dove right in, and that was in May. I put my blog up right around the end of May, and I've been cranking at it ever since.
So going through all that and launching your blog, what is the biggest problem that you had technically with getting everything going online?
The biggest problem technically, I mean, really it's more of a whole lineup of little ones added up. The learning curve is so sharp in the beginning, and the temptation is to tweak, or get caught in what I like to call tweaking hell. And I think it's almost like a rite of passage. You have to go through this. It's just,
Yeah, you do.
I mean, unless you are some divine entity that just comes into this industry and just gets it all. David Wood comes to mind. No, actually, he had a long history before he got famous that people just don't know about. But he did make it big fast.
Right.
When he hopped online, but that is not the typical story. It took me a good month of just simple things like, what theme do I use?
Yeah.
And I was not really looking to invest a whole lot of money at the time, so I was looking at free themes, and I changed it. In fact, I thought I had this hookup, and this is kind of a good lesson too, in how I was focused on the wrong stuff in the beginning, because I actually was leasing some office space from a web design firm, and I had sort of partnered up with one of the founders on a couple of affiliate marketing projects, and was trying to get him involved in my primary business as well. And so he was helping me set a lot of stuff up, and it was really cool because he was doing a lot of the technical things for me. But what I found is, he had this whole other world where he was, running a business, and his priorities and time frames weren't really in alignment with mine. And trying to send him emails and do stuff and ask him to do this and that, and it's really cool if you can outsource and you're actually paying somebody, and then you have an expectation that can be met. But this was just kind of a favor type situation, and after a while I just realized it wasn't going to work out, so I just kind of just took control, and I was using a paid theme that he let me use, and I just totally switched it, used a free theme, and just started digging in with all my own plugins and tweaks to it. And it's kind of messy. You just got to remain patient. There's lots of great training programs out there, and you're not going to get it all set up and perfect before you're ready to go. The point is just get it up, get it functional, get an opt-in form on your page, and start putting content up there.
Right. Yeah, it was so overwhelming for me as well. Like you said, you have to go through the trial and error. You just have to do it yourself. There's really no other way of getting it done. If it comes to the theme, what plugins to use, I had people comment about my font that I was using on my blog. It just wasn't nice to them. It was just so many different things. And now personally, I did it all over again, learned from what I did before, and my blog is ugly. Literally. I just put it up, and I knew that the most important thing was to get traffic. So that leads to my next question. How long did it really actually take you from the launch of your blog to actually start monetizing it and getting some regular leads in? How long did that take?
I would say you can expect a good expectation. It took me at least 30 days before I started getting opt-ins into my blog.
Right.
And that really, that takes into time, I guess the real valid time frame would be from when the moment you start putting content up and you start trying to optimize it for SEO and get backlinks. When you kick off that part of your strategy, then you can start the clock. Because just putting a blog up doesn't do anything until you start getting the content up, start syndicating it, getting some backlinks, and all the various things you can do to generate traffic. And even from there, I would plan on give yourself at least 4 weeks before you even expect anything. That would be mine. And then give yourself 3 months before you expect a steady flow of leads coming in.
SEO companies, they tell you to invest a year, because after 12 months, that's when you're really going to know. And most network marketers are not going to make it a year, unfortunately, but at least 90 days.
Yeah, and I guess that's one of the biggest mistakes. People come in, and it seems like there's this common threshold that you can really test whether somebody's serious about this industry and committed. And it's a 2-week threshold. Like, there's a lot of people after 2 weeks, they'll just get frustrated, and they'll start losing their enthusiasm for the whole thing, and that's just never going to happen. So if you can't come into this, I'm part of a major blogging community that's a paid membership service, and the whole entire point is to create traffic and create revenue through your blog. And we have this thing called the 100-day challenge, and if you cannot evaluate your results until you get through that 100-day challenge, because you just don't have enough data to make an assessment until that point.
I'm in my, I guess you could say, first 20-some days of the 100-day challenge. I'm not doing that 100-day challenge of that network that you're in, but I just know personally I have to crank out content for the next 90 days to 100 days to even see some type of return. And it's blind faith. It's blind faith. I know it's going to be able to build and flourish a community around it, but to actually get going, I have some experience from before, but let's say if I was brand new and I didn't know anything about anything, and I was coming online, what is the first thing that a person should be looking at as far as a strategy to start building traffic? What would you suggest?
Yeah, it's going to really depend on the individual and what their background, what their skills, what their preference, what do they enjoy. The one key thing to do is to pick one particular strategy, whether it's Facebook. It's really popular, it's really hot, and if you spend a lot of time on Facebook, it could be worth your time to do some serious investing, buy some courses, really train on how you can get smart about it and strategize about networking on Facebook, pay-per-click on Facebook. But that's not for everybody. I really was not a Facebook person, and I'm still not.
Me neither.
I don't know. I still probably, if you look at my Facebook profile, I still probably have less than 300 friends on there. It's like my last thing. It's like my afterthought for every day.
Me too.
And it's just crazy because I look at these other people that are just knocking it out of the park, and all they do is Facebook. But for me, it was definitely blogging. It was definitely article marketing and blogging from the get-go, and then now I'm getting to the point where I'm throwing in videos, which is a powerful piece you do absolutely want to bring in. But it all centers around blogging, starting your own blog, creating content, getting it out there, and it's a big SEO strategy and backlinking strategy is what it amounts to, and that requires some patience, and a lot of people don't like to write, and so that's not going to make sense for everyone. Or you might be in a situation where you can outsource. You don't have to do the writing, but so it really just depends. What's your background? What kind of maybe you have a direct response marketing background. If you're good at copywriting, then pay-per-click things, or even what's something called pay-per-view, which is still a very underutilized advertising strategy out there, is very powerful. Solo ads, buying ads on other people's email lists. My gosh, you look at Dagan Smith. He's a multi-millionaire, and that's all he does. Banner ads and solo ads. Yeah. But that's a tough one for somebody just starting out, because you really need some capital to get access to quality lists and things. And that's why I love the blogging strategy. I mean, you can get started on a real low budget and just build it up. It's a slow burn, but it just sort of the curve keeps going up, and then it just it starts taking off.
Critical mass.
Yep. But and the other mistake that people will make, and it's just inevitable, and I do it, and I still do it, but it's just a matter of how well we manage it, is trying to get too many different strategies going at once.
True. Jim Rohn used to talk about being able to master the mundane and being able to master one strategy at a time with spaced repetition. So if you learn how to article market and blog, which is, similar, writing articles or getting somebody to write them for you and optimize them over a period of time, that will lead to great things for your blog. So I know that on your site you have a few interviews with a few people. Tell me, what is it like sitting down and interviewing some of these great minds in the business?
Oh, it's a fantastic experience. Somebody coming into the industry that doesn't really have the social proof or own results or background to speak of. To me, that was like the easiest no-brainer strategy ever. And now I'm on the other end of that, and I've actually had a couple people ask me to do interviews, and it's cool. Most people are very willing to do them because the industry is just cool like that, first of all, and second of all, it's win-win. It's exposure for the interviewer, and you learn a ton in the process. And what's the best thing about it is when you record it like this, you go back and record them, and it's hard to sort of absorb everything that's going on while you're conducting the interview. Yeah. But you go back and listen to that. I think of like my David Wood interview and my Norbert Orlowitz interviews. I listened to those several times because there was a lot of golden nuggets in there, and so it's a great strategy to get started.
Yeah, I was just listening to a couple of your interviews. Great interviews. You're right. They were full of golden nuggets. Now, I've had a couple of people basically say, what's in it for me and how much are you going to pay me? But don't worry about that, guys. Just get out there, ask people to get interviews for you and get that content going for your website. And believe me, in the end, it will definitely pay off. Now, you have this, it was kind of, I'm not going to lie, it was kind of sad. It brought back bad memories for me. And it was kind of happy and joyous at the same time. But you got this blog post on your site, and it's called "The Day the Music Went Dead." Wow.
Yep. That was, the one thing I love about writing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You can finish your question, but it's just like, and this is why I write. And you gotta figure out what makes you feel this way for you. Is the best time to write is when it just comes out of nowhere. Yeah. And you're writing from the heart, and it's content, because that's stuff that in the way I view it, that's stuff that the universe wants you to get out there. Okay, if you just sit there in front of your computer and you're like, oh man, what am I going to write about today? And you're just sort of tapping on the desk and looking over some stuff and some books or whatever, it's tough to pick it out. But the best articles ever, and this goes for video too, if you're a video person, it's just you just feel inspired in that moment, turn that camera on, turn that computer on, and start writing. And so that's kind of where That Day the Music Died. That was an article that was coming since the beginning, and over the holidays I finally just said, all right, let's get this out.
Right, put some heart into it. You could definitely tell. So you got Flowrider on your website, man.
I love well, hey, and here's the scary thing about these, and to me, I don't want to get into an off tangent debate here, but to me, I'm doing nothing but boosting Flowrider's sales by putting that video on my blog. Right. But we're in the midst of these scary times where Congress has one of the most just shocking pieces of legislation we've seen in the last 100 years coming to vote with this whole Protect IP and SOPA Act. Right. And there's a prime example of something you definitely would not be able to do if that thing passes.
Exactly. And to me, that's just curating content and sharing, exposing stuff to your group. I do believe that the congressman pulled the SOPA Act, so that's one victory that we have for freedom of everything online.
I think the massive protest online that's the great thing about the internet.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, if there's ever a way to collaborate and bring people together, and you get Google behind it,
grassroots.
So we can just say score one for Google,
right,
over Congress.
Hey, and I definitely didn't expect to see Flow Rider on your site, so score one for you, Tim.
Oh, I love that song, man. My 3-year-old daughter and I just we get down to that thing.
Right. Hey, so I talk about this with all my guests, but first, what tools are you using in your everyday business to promote your business?
Mm-hmm. Everything is around my blog, so it's really just all tools related to blogging and article marketing. And the core tools that I've been using up until recently, where I've experimenting with a little more heavy artillery, has been an automatic article submitter software. And a real common one in our industry is automatic AMR is what I always call it, automatic robot or something like that.
Yeah, article marketing
robot. There you go. Yeah. And so that's a good one to get started, just because it's a one-time fee and then you can keep using it. It's not like a monthly thing. And the same with some of the common spinning software out there. And so that's pretty much the default way to get started, to start getting links. And I guess just one thing I'll say about that, and I sort of had to wrap my mind around this too, is this whole spinning of content thing. And is that kind of like a black hat strategy, or what is that? And here's the way I look at that, and people can agree or disagree, is that as long as your original piece of content is original and it is a quality piece of content, taking various versions of that created by software and putting it out there for backlinks, to me, is no issue, because all those places where it's getting posted are purely for SEO, and they're actually never, I shouldn't say never, but the likelihood of them ever being read as content is slim and none. So really all you're trying to do is create something for Google to find that's related to your actual quality piece of content. And if you're not doing it, it's tough, because you're kind of just starting out in the hole, because everybody else is.
Right.
And once you get to a level, and this is the cool thing, once you build your readership up and you have a bunch of followers on your blog, you can just start then nurturing your list and building your list, and you get viral traffic. And so, the whole spinning and article submitting becomes less necessary. There's also great social syndication exchange programs like Tribe Pro. And you can, there's a free version of it, but really to get the juice out of it, you want to do the paid version, so you can do auto submission. And that's where everybody just sort of agrees with an automated software to share each other's contents on their social bookmarking sites. That's a very powerful strategy. And so really the article marketing robot, and then I brought in Tribe Pro, were the primary things. As of late, I am experimenting with a little bit more high-powered blogging network, where these are people who put their blogs into a network because they're looking for content to share. And when you submit your article, according to the keywords and everything else, it'll automatically get grabbed by the blogs who want that kind of content on their blog. And so it's really a completely valid and great process, because it's win-win for the people who have the blog. It's win-win for who's submitting it and the people who are reading it, because it's quality content. You don't need to be spinning anything or anything like that. So that's primarily what I've been doing. I have experimented a little bit with some advertising, a few solo ads and banner ads, but by and large, 90% of my leads are a direct result of the content on my website.
Right. All right, so for a wrap-up, we're looking at content syndication through Tribe Pro and other services like it, basically social bookmarking. article writing and article syndication with article directories and blogging. And trust me, if you master those 3 things, you will build a great blog. Now, I just want to let everybody know we're having a few technical difficulties. Please bear with us. The show is not the normal format that we usually do it. We had to just do it and keep things rolling. So I want to thank you for coming on the show today, Tim. I appreciate the time and the value that you've given my readers. And I wish you the best success in all your business adventures this year, okay?
Yeah, my pleasure, Ian. Thanks for having me.
All right, you have a good day.
All right, take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the MLM Success Coaches Show, where our motto is nobody wants a boss, everybody wants a coach. Until next time, have a great day.